Here is a rundown on some of our Thursday morning headlines for May 11th, 2017. First and foremost, a reporter in the United States has been arrested for doing his job. Dan Heyman basically was just simply trying to ask questions of the health secretary. Health secretary refused to answer, was walking away. The reporter continued to come down the hallway. Remember, this is a public official in a public space, in a public hallway, asking questions. He was charged with willful disruption of government processes. Trump and Lavrov met yesterday in Washington, D.C., Lavrov being from the Soviet side, or the Russian side, and Trump, of course, being the president of the United States. They talked about a number of issues, and they basically came around with saying that they're going to do the best they can to repair the damaged relations. Jordan, apparently there's been some speculation that they're preparing for some kind of ground intervention in Syria. However, a former general says that's not a good idea, and he outlined why he doesn't think that's going to happen. Republicans challenging a memo right now that apparently restricts health officials' ability to speak with Congress. Basically, the memo reads as if it's saying you must get permission from your superior before you answer any questions from members of Congress. Doesn't seem like a good way to have transparency or to allow for anything like whistleblowing. Turmoil in Washington, of course, after the sacking of FBI Director James Comey, and some speculation now on how this coming Trump train crash, and they're saying that his actions are very similar to what Nixon did when he fired all of the prosecutors back in that, what do they call it, Valentine's Day Massacre? What massacre was it? Anyway, Saturday Night Massacre, that's what it was. That somehow Trump is heading toward getting impeached. And if that happens, well, that's going to be bad news for the hyper-inflated asset markets. Controversial Education Secretary Betsy DeVos was booed, and students turned their back on her when she spoke at a historically black college. Apparently they didn't want her to come in the first place because she had made remarks earlier about how actually comparing the founding of black colleges to school choice. The Russian central bank has stopped any lending in gold. I didn't even know they were doing that anymore, but apparently for the last 6 years, they have been taking gold bullion as collateral for cash that they were allowing other banks to have. So now they've stopped doing that. And a Guantánamo prisoner is going to be testifying about his CIA torture ahead of his 9/11 trial, if it gets that far. This is one of the high-profile members of Al-Qaeda or whatever group it was, and he's been in custody, basically hasn't been seen in public for the last 15 years. And they're saying that he's going to come and testify about how he was tortured. In another situation, in China, they released a human rights lawyer from custody after he's been in custody just for 3 years. And when he came out, basically he looked so different, so thin, so gaunt, so pale, that he was virtually unrecognizable to his own countrymen and to his own family. And it looks like there's a surprise move. Washington's Republicans failed to repeal the methane regulations that had been set in place by Obama. And it looks like a surprise win for the environmentalists lobby. It was a 51-49 vote. So there you have it. There's a little rundown on some of our news. Once again, my commentary today focusing on this arresting of a reporter for doing his job. Check me out online. The website is radiofreespeech.com, and let me know what you'd like me to be doing. If you want to see more commentary, if you want to see more news, send me an email, steve@radiofreespeech.com.